And this is, I know we're often inviting, suggesting, cajoling people to turn their cameras on, but it really is fine for this, especially, to leave cameras off and just focus. It is, there's not much about mindfulness or meditation that is to do with a visual element. It's mostly interior and driven by sound, so that's all fine. Often I'm so used to in our meetings beginning with a territorial acknowledgement and going around the room, but I do have a full probably 55 minutes, so I'll get going and just say that my name is Lawrence, and I also go by LJ, and that I'm on the Coquitlam lands, coming to you live from, well, I guess live, yeah, from Coquitlam. Sorry, I don't know why that struck me as funny, but thanks to the organizers. I believe it's, I know Dipti was on the ground organizing. Jennifer runs events committee and has given lots of support, and as well as the events committee in its entirety has supported a lot of amazing events. And I'm really glad to be able to offer this to a few people in an intimate setting like this. So I'm going to share, bear with me for a second. That's not the screen I wanted. Sorry. I've, practiced this several times this morning. It's this one. No, Zoom glitched. Why is that? Okay, bear with me. What's going to Zoom? Okay. Honestly, without all these people.
I feel like just your voice itself is calming.
That's the goal. Okay, I'm clicking on what I selected and there, okay, there we go. I did that twice already, but this time it worked. And of course it should be at the top. So do people see mindfulness and meditation, tools to reduce stress? Okay, thank you. I can see a couple of people nodding. So the words float around a lot, mindfulness, meditation, and like many words that are in use a lot, we don't necessarily know what they mean, or people also have different meanings for them. But we're going to cover a little bit of what they are, the words, especially meditation, how they work to the extent that I know, and there's not much about that I do know, and why you should try them. Did the slide move? I'll only ask this once. Yeah, okay. So here's the overview of our little journey today. We'll do a welcome. I'll walk through those things that you see there. I'll just let you absorb that for a moment rather than going through each of them. But we do kind of take you through a little bit of a journey. It's quite a personally driven journey, I guess. This might be the point to say that meditation and mindfulness are very, very different for every person, as it should be. The way you come to it, what resonates for you, what works and doesn't work, will be very, very personal. And that's completely fine. That's as it should be. Why should you listen to me at all? Well, you probably shouldn't. You should be skeptical of anything anyone tells you, always, like to a healthy degree at least. But I did, near the end of my time at the Student Society, where I was, I guess I should throw that, and I was about 23, 24 years working with clubs at the Student Society, and then came across came into the possibility of doing a year-long online certification in what's called health coaching by a California institute called the Kresser Institute, which is nationally recognized. We did training in mindfulness and empathy, in health coaching itself, like the mechanics of health coaching borrows from coaching techniques overall. And we also had a stream in what's called functional medicine, which is think holistic medicine, think functional medicine. Someone with if you present to a functional medicine practitioner, if you present with a migraine, they're not going to give you a pill. They'll do a top to body, under the hood, full investigation, because likely people with migraines are, for example, are all caused by multiple different and very unique triggers. I've been meditating pretty much daily. I was trying to think before this started. I think I probably only missed maybe a couple of handfuls of days in 6 years, because I like it. Many people don't. Many people struggle, and that's really normal too. But I'm one of the lucky ones for whom it I really I quite like it. It has made it easy to do 6 years. Back to my training. This is really important. The ethical guidelines around any profession. There are ethical guidelines around any profession, and in the health field. It's important that I remind everyone of this, that I'm not giving and can't give any medical advice. I'm not a doctor or counselor or psychologist. And that if you or anyone you know is ever at risk of self-harm, or is there any kinds of red flags, this is normal, it's reasonable. There's nothing wrong with you per se. Everyone feels to a greater or lesser degree different stages of anxiety and depression, and that you or anyone should be encouraged to reach out to professionals. I don't have those resources here because, again, that would start to look like I know I'm able to comment in that field, and I don't and can't. But SFU, for example, has a really strong and competent division down in the Maggie Benson Center on campus, and also digitally. And the content here is driven by, like I said, my own observations and understandings, and it's a little more, I hope to expose you to the mechanics of meditation. I actually put mediation. Oh my God. Every time I write meditation, it wants to put mediation. It's the mechanics of meditation. So the kind of fun parts by looking at it kind of top view and looking at the components, hopefully giving you inspiration and tools for either to enhance a practice you have already, or to explore beginning one in one of the millions of ways that you can. Some of the key impacts of meditation are around intention. Intention is just, well, it's not necessarily a little word, but it's a really, really powerful word. Intention is related to so much, the way you handle intention in your life, the intentions you set, how you accomplish them or don't, can drive so much of your satisfaction and your life satisfaction, and are directly related to stress and anxiety in ways we'll talk about a bit more. And then the huge concept behind meditation is the tool or the vision or understanding that the stream of thoughts that go through you and drive you every day do not equal you. You are not just a collection of this stream, often really powerful, often anxiety inducing. The thoughts that flow through you are not you. And we hope to do some couple little experiments that get us through that, and the relationship, of course, of meditation to stress and anxiety will become clear, I hope, through these other things. But okay, here I'm going to do a parlor trick. I'm going to change your brain. I'm actually going to change your brain. It's like from here in Coquitlam, just with a headset and a computer. Because if a year from now you bump into someone, or it comes up that, hey, remember that mindfulness thing we did a year ago? You're going to be able to remember it. The only way you're going to be able to remember it is because something in your brain is changing right now. Like something in your brain at a biophysical level is, however it works, is laying down whether it's electrons or chemical or biochemical, something's happening in your brain right now that is making a semi-permanent change to your brain. And mindfulness, then the point of this slide is to say that things you do, even sitting in a chair in your room in the dark or in the light, or a mindfulness moment as you're walking through the AQ, or sorry, maybe not the AQ, but the AQ gardens. Mindful moments and meditation can influence your brain biochemically and biophysically in the same way that obviously a memory can. So this was by way of this was my proof. So we're going to dip more into it, but just broad out of the gate overview. And I'm aware I'm doing a lot of talking. There will be a chance for you guys to throw things back at me, but this really is more a presentation than a workshop. But if you don't mind, I don't mind. Mindfulness, as distinct from meditation, is mindfulness is kind of like it sounds. It's shorter. It's like it's dropping in. It's short term. You can do it during anything. You can have mindful moments, and basically, it's tuning into all of your senses, or any of your senses, or a dominant sense at any given moment. Even it's not a reflective thought. Like, say, it's not while you're doing the dishes and you suddenly have a fond memory of something that happened. That's a memory. That's not a mindful moment. But a mindful moment might be, back to walking through the AQ gardens. Some night in the winter when you've done a class and the moon, it's a clear night, and the moon is sitting just over the AQ. Sorry, people. This is a Burnaby-centric example. The full moon is sitting over the AQ, and it just, like, you literally stop and it takes your breath away. And you're just so conscious of being there and present and just enjoying this beautiful and rare sighting. That's a moment of mindfulness, for example, and there are millions and millions that are possible, of course. And meditation, contrary to what many of you maybe even have been taught or been told or imagine, meditation is not simply clearing the mind, at least in any schools of meditation I've been exposed to. It's more a sustained mindfulness, so a sustained awareness. And typically it's best done motionless in some sense. And more of the recommendations are that you are sitting either cross-legged if you can, or in a chair, or it's best to be vertical to enable all the processes to work best. And here's another really important caveat. It is meditation is not meant as a device or a strategy to help you cope with a stressful environment where that's not right or fair or proper. In other words, meditation can help you deal with a stressful workplace, but it shouldn't be looked to as the only tool that helps you navigate horrible coworkers or horrible bosses or unfair working conditions or life conditions or an abusive relationship or any of those kinds of things. They're separate. They're not a panacea. It's not a drug. It's not a numbing. It's the opposite, in fact. But that was important to slip in there. I can pause. Are there any if there are any questions, like burning questions that just like, what the heck? I'd be happy to hear them.
Oh, I have a question.
Mhm.
Lawrence, you said that it's better to do meditation while upright, but what if you want to do it before bed so it helps you sleep?
No, yeah, exactly. That's I've heard a few people do that, and they see. For me, I fall asleep in about 90 seconds, so that just wouldn't work. But for many people, take a long time to fall asleep, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And if you're one of those people and you don't start to drift away, if you're able to maintain some kind of energy and attention towards what you're doing, then that, for those people, it would seem to be fine and even beneficial. And if that's the time of day when you can carve out a little space for it, yes, that makes sense. So how does it work? Well, I back to sort of the way memory works. Like, how will you be able to remember this talk maybe a year from now? Like, there's a lot we don't know, including around meditation and mindfulness strategies. How do they work inside? We're able more and more to get live in real time readings of what's happening in brains during all kinds of mental states. But the answer is there's no hard and fast description of how it works. But it does. The benefit seems to stem from being calmly present and attuned to your inner life. Lets your brain either heal or create new and healthy pathways. And that's the best definition that I've come across. The definition is kind of in your lived experience. So, and then so onwards. Okay, so some of you may know the book Sapiens, which is I think subtitled "A Short History of Humankind." The author drawn here is Yuval Harari, and he teaches in Israel and Tel Aviv University, and is the author, among other things, of *Sapiens*. And in an interview recently, I heard him talk about his passion for meditation. It's the dominant structuring force in his life, and but it is really important, I think, to hear about his very first experience with meditation. And his voice, I could listen to him forever. It'll take a minute for you to catch his accent, but I think he has one of the loveliest voices that I've heard.
The very first evening, the instructions that I was given by the meditation teacher was very, very simple instructions. I guess many people heard them, that you just focus your entire, you sit down, you close your eyes, and you just focus your entire attention on your nostrils, on your nose, and you just try to feel whether your breath is coming in or whether your breath is going out. It sounds like the simplest thing in the world. It's not even a breathing exercise. Like, you don't need to control the breath. Just let it be what it is and just feel what it does. And I couldn't do it for more than 10 seconds, like most people. That, for 10 seconds, I would be focusing on my nostrils, on my breath, and after 10 seconds, my mind would run somewhere, like to some memory, some story, something I forgot to do, something that happened years ago, and I would roll in that for minutes before realizing that, hey, I'm missing my breath, and come back. And this was an extremely humiliating and important experience, because it made me realize for the first time in my life that I have almost no control over my mind. The very first...
Sorry. I love slides, but you do have to dodge that little thing there. Okay. So I knew that the best way to get any kind of reaction was to find a room for a kitten somewhere. So the concept that Yuval was describing there is something that all of us face when trying to do anything with focus, but especially meditation. And it's because we live with two conflicting forces, and I think they're best exemplified by a kitten. And we've got a COVID kitten, so I've watched this happen recently. So it's a concept I call kitten under a blanket, where a kitten can't help themselves. If there's something interesting, they will pounce. And that's like our minds. Our minds pounce on things. It would seem against our best judgment, against all our controls and desire to do otherwise. Our mind is jumping from thought to thought to thought. In fact, it's probably what's been responsible for every idea and every invention that we have, is the human ability of the mind to pounce. But if you're pouncing all the time, you never have a time to heal or be calm or be quiet or restore yourself. And so that's when you watch a kitten too. A kitten, as soon as anything goes wrong out in the world, or there's a loud noise, or where do they go to heal and be calm and be quiet and feel safe? As they go back under the blanket. So, and meditation offers our mind a blanket for the kitten-like aspect of our minds. I just don't want to leave this slide. That is like the most cute kitty. So back to intention, because intention is so critical to our feelings of achievement, of success, and success by however you describe that or define that. Success in relationships, success vis-a-vis a project, success vis-a-vis your own life goals, is the ability to define and set an intention, and the ability to support yourself in moving toward that. Meditation is an astonishing support for intention, because it gives you time and space in your life to make a place for it and break it down, and break it down into pieces, manageable pieces. And and I'll just speak purely personally, I'm not someone who suffered, and I count myself very lucky not to have had debilitating anxiety, but I know in times where I've been tempted to feel it or start to feel it, or start to feel something like overwhelmed by it, I know it's often the chasm between an intention that I've set and my ability to achieve it, and the inabilities to achieve an intention often drives anxiety. And those inabilities are often to do with other people. Someone gives you a deadline you can't meet. Someone gives you a project that's just too hard. 4 professors give you assignments that are all due within the same 4 days. Those are not intentions that are set by you, but you have to meet them. And it's the gap between achieving your intention and the perceived inability to do so that can drive a lot of anxiety. And I just want to, if people want to throw out some answers to me here, I just want to walk through something I call the tale of 2 evenings. I'm just going to check the time. Okay. And it's around intention, and it's to do with, I'm going to use Netflix as an example. So in imagine, if you will, this a first evening. So on evening number 1, you've set an intention, and maybe you wrote it down, maybe it's just in your mind. You're going to get your receipts all lined up because it's tax time, and that you want to do, you want to complete that in a few days. So your intention is to come home from school or work or both, have some food, and then deal with these receipts, and then maybe watch, and maybe you'll watch Netflix. You're not really sure. Your intention though is the receipts. You have some supper, or you make some food, you sit down. 2.5 hours of Netflix later, you're too late, you're too tired, and the evening is gone, and you haven't accomplished your receipts. You have watched your 2.5 hours of Netflix. Evening number 2 is the same thing. But you come home. You know that when you come home and sit down, that's a moment where you're vulnerable to maybe staying seated. So you keep focused on your intention of having some food, you sort your receipts, and you watch 2.5 hours of Netflix. The difference between those 2 evenings, we're running a little short of time, so I won't necessarily open it up to the audience, but I know the kinds of things that people will say of here. Of course, in evening number 1, you're racked by guilt. You have felt like you've failed. There's nothing but negative emotion, unless it was like the most fabulous 2.5 hours of Netflix that you've ever seen in your life. But you still get that on evening 2. So on evening 2, you've achieved your intention. You've got the same amount of reward afterwards. But in the second evening, you feel fulfilled, you feel organized, you feel calm, you feel like you've structured your life and honored that. And so intention plays a role. The intention, or lack of successful intention, plays a role in how identical days or identical circumstances can feel entirely different. So now, like I hinted at earlier, I'd like to spend a minute presenting and sharing the ideas around what makes a you a you. Now, these are 4 little experiences that I want to take us through. I kind of know what to expect, but I think it's kind of fun if you just tune into what's happening during each of these experiences. So the first is heartbeat. Can we all take 10 seconds and just feel your heartbeat in your throat or your wrist, or some people can feel it just by being still. So just for 10 seconds, starting now. Okay, that's about 10 seconds. Now, during the next 10 seconds, I want you to spend 5 seconds trying to speed it up and 5 seconds trying to slow it down. So speed up first, and ready, go. Okay, now try and slow it down. Okay, that's experience number 1. We'll just park that for a moment. If anyone was able to speed up or slow down your heart, then I think you should start a YouTube channel and you should demonstrate this, and you'd make tons of money and be sponsored by millions of people, because it'd be a miracle. So breathing, we're going to do a skill testing question. This won't make sense for a minute, but bear with me. Okay, so everybody, listen very carefully to the numbers. I'm going to just throw out a few. Skill testing question with numbers. Okay, 2 times 3 plus 4 times 10 divided by 25. And the answer should be, anyone want to throw it out? Throw out the answer. Yes, yes, okay. Of course, the point there was that did anyone notice what their breathing was doing? Was anyone concentrating or needing to focus on breathing in order to keep breathing while doing the skill test in question? No, no, and so let's just park that experience as well. The next slide is going to explain all this. Um, so I think let's just do this for 20 seconds. I said 30 seconds, but let's spend on a pleasant thought. Please, if you will, spend 20 seconds thinking of something pleasant. It could be a favorite person or food or setting. So I'm just going to give you 20 seconds. Go. Okay, I hope that was pleasant. Same thing. Now we're going to switch over to something unpleasant, either person or fight or project that went badly, group project where you were the only, anyway, you know what I mean. 20 seconds, shift it over to think and really stay deeply if you can. It's only 20 seconds. See if you can stay 20 seconds with this unpleasant thought and explore it and be aware of it, and go. Okay, and stop. So just keep all those experiences fresh as I sort of refer to those experiences. And the reason we did heartbeat is, and the reason I wanted to sort of demonstrate or have you feel into that, heartbeat is not often involved in most meditation support because it does its own thing. You can't really control it, and thank goodness that you can't in a way. However, breath and thought share a mechanistic link. And if you just read those lists there, you'll see you just experienced that all these things are true about both thoughts and about breath, that they both arise on their own, or you can summon them. You can hold your breath. You can do things without being aware of your breath. Thoughts come on their own, or you can shift from a pleasant thought to an unpleasant thought. You can also observe them and consider the quality of each. You can take a deep breath and sort of notice as you do so. You can sometimes notice your breathing is really shallow, and that both thoughts and breath can be modified. And that's the key, especially, it's the key in meditation. So this partnership that they have would it seeming that they can be, with their shared characteristics, they can be, a breath and thought can align, and the breath, which is body, can offer physical support to thought, our minds, which create a pathway, especially during meditation, to different and deeper levels of consciousness. And in later stages in advanced meditation, I think people leave breathing behind. But they're a partnership that enables great depth of mental activity. But the key thing, the key mechanic of meditation is that you do not simply equal your thoughts. And so I just want you to drill down into this. Just feel these ideas washing over you if you never have. As we just saw in some degree, if you can consider a thought, its quality, if you can label it, if you can tap into it and analyze it, if you can judge it, oh, that's a something thought, that's a something thought. If you can replace one thought with another, if you can observe the length and breadth and width and height and color and smell and taste of a thought, someone is doing that. So behind all of that steady stream of thinking and that seems to arise out of you, there's another you who's observing all of that. Or there's another entity, or there's another center if all thinking is separate from you in a way, even if it arises within you. And I hope that makes sense. Okay. So it plays a key role in stress or anxiety. I have 4 minutes of a recorded talk by I guess a man I would call my meditation mentor, an American teacher and political commentator and meditator named Sam Harris. So I'm picking him up at the second of 2 points he was making around anxiety. And the first is just, he was using kind of a qualitative analysis, but it's point number 2. And I'm saying this because it starts as point number 2. And of course you would wonder, what was point number 1? So he's going to talk for 3 or 4 minutes about anxiety and the tools of meditation that can be helpful.
Is to become mindful of the feeling of anxiety itself. What is it? And what does it mean? Well, it's just sensation. It's just a pattern of energy in your body. And it actually doesn't mean anything at the level of raw sensation. You might have thoughts about it, and very likely much of your thinking in that moment is purposed toward trying to figure out how not to feel that way or not to let it get worse. But if you'll step out of your thoughts and just become willing to feel the raw sensation of anxiety, actually just surrender your resistance to it, just feel it as energy, it can lose its meaning. It can become very difficult to distinguish from what under another framing would be a positive experience, like excitement. How do you know the difference between being anxious about something that's about to happen and being excited? For the most part, it is the thoughts you're thinking when you're feeling that arousal. There's a cognitive, conceptual overlay on top of this raw feeling. You can consciously reframe things, or you can step out of it altogether and just feel the raw energy of this experience. And when you do that, anxiety can be like any other experience that has no meaning for you as a person, really. I mean, it doesn't say anything about you. So something like indigestion or itching. Let's say you have a rash on your elbow and it's itching. Okay? That doesn't say anything deep about you as a person. That has no psychological implications. It might be unpleasant. It might be extraordinarily unpleasant, but it doesn't reach into your sense of who you are. The deepest way to respond to anxiety, and again, I'm not saying that there is no case in which drugs are valuable or even necessary. There may very well be, but for anxiety in its more ordinary range, a deep way to respond to it is to become willing to feel it, to cease to interpret it as important, and to function in the midst of it. And then it will pass. Anxiety rises and falls like any other emotion. And if you're not continually thinking the thoughts that make you anxious, it actually can't stay around very long. And this is true of other unpleasant emotions like anger and sadness. They're continually resurrected by our thoughts. And we're spending most of our time thinking without knowing that we're thinking. So mindfulness in particular is a very good antidote to this problem. But the trick is you can't apply it as an antidote. You can't be mindful of anxiety so that it will go away. You can't push it away with meditation. Or at least that attempt is more likely to fail. What you're really after in those moments is genuine equanimity, real acceptance of the energy of this emotion. Become interested in it. Become willing to feel it. Just let it burn bright in you. And discover that it doesn't matter. It simply comes and it goes, and you can function.
Thank you. Okay. And then Sam is not, he's a doctor, but not a medical doctor. So I think that's, again, a careful caveat that he puts in the middle there, that there is a place sometimes for, professional help that may include medication at times. And that that's important to know. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. And so, yeah, this is fine. Back to what I said early on, everyone, we are all snowflakes, and I mean snowflakes in the very best way. we're snowflakes in that every one of us is absolutely and completely unique in what we like and how we like it and how we like to learn, or how we like to take on anything. So I've included here 4 just minute-long samples each of 4 different voices who do. These are all free right now. You can find any of these afterward. So just to hear the kind of similarity but difference, and see if any of these voices or types of meditation resonate for you. And I'll just quickly go through them. I might not play the full minute of each, but here we go with one that many might have heard of, a UK-based speaker in who runs Headspace.
Welcome.
Whoops. Apparently not.
To begin with, once you're sitting comfortably, I'd like you just to gently close your eyes. Begin by taking a few deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in through the nose, I'd like you to focus on your chest expanding, lungs filling with air. And as you breathe out, noticing how the body softens each time, how it lets go of any tension as the body exhales.
So that was, I think first name Terry Puddlecombe, and this is an American-based one. Relax. Sorry, stop, breathe, and think. They're apparently popular with the under 25s. I still like them.
To begin with, once you're sitting comfortably,
Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your awareness to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Take a few deep breaths. While you are breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face, in your hands, and your legs. Let go of all the tension in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Notice what it feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down your throat, filling your lungs, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall with each inhale and exhale.
Sorry, a little inelegant.
Let's start today's session by finding a comfortable position with a tall, straight back. Allow your arms to rest gently. And when you're ready, close your eyes. Bring full attention to this very moment. Settling in and allowing the mind and body to stay. With openness, patience, and curiosity. Bring your awareness to the breath. Taking a deep breath in and releasing fully. Follow the breath as it goes in and out of your body.
Take a seat either in a chair or cross-legged.
I'm actually, just in the interest of time, that was Sam Harris again, and it is different. And if you like the voice of him speaking about anxiety, he offers a full waking up. He calls it waking up podcast and selection of free meditations, guided meditations. Now here's the part where I wanted to. I think I might just take you through the breathing scan. So we had cats before, and I had to throw some dogs in. This is the place I would encourage you to turn off your cameras. I'm going to turn turn off mine too. And what I'm going to take you through, and you don't have to, but if you're comfortable enough, just listen to my suggestions for where you should shift the spotlight of your attention as you're breathing in and as you're breathing out. And we're going to travel from the tip of your nose down into your diaphragm and then back out. It just takes about 90 seconds. And just listen, and if you can, just really move your attention as you breathe. And we're going to start with the tip of your nose. And so here we go. So breathe in, feeling the air right at the front of your nostrils. And breathe out the same through your nose. Breathe in and move the center of sensation back to your sinuses. Feel it flow through and over your sinuses. Breathing in and breathing out. Now the top of your throat. Feel the air as it goes over the top of your throat in the back. And breathe in. And breathe out. Okay, just feel the top of your lungs, even though the air is going into your diaphragm. Top of your lungs, feel the air there. Breathe in. And breathe out. This time, both full lungs, feel the air filling you fully. Breathe in. And breathe out. And finally, your diaphragm. This time, feel it right down in your belly. The breath goes right down and pushes you on your diaphragm. Breathe in. And breathe out. And we'll return. We'll go right to the top of the back of your throat. Feel the breath in on your throat, in and out. Breathe in. And breathe out. And finally, feel it at the very tip of your nostrils, your nose. Breathe in. And breathe out. And there, that should feel pretty good. I even feel pretty good. So yeah, and you're welcome or free to turn cameras on or off as need be, or as you want. So to conclude the kind of thinking or mechanics, or just laying some of the early sort of rudimentary groundwork in the area of meditation and stress and anxiety, that meditation creates a time and space in your life to explore your own consciousness and how it can be a better support, it can support better navigation of your stress and anxiety. So that even if you never use or need the meditation to play a role in exploring deeper levels of consciousness, especially if you feel you have important work to do around stress and anxiety and the things that we talked about leading up to this, the differentiation between you and your thoughts, and what Sam talked about in terms of navigating and experiencing anxiety itself. An added benefit of and role that meditation can play in your life is to help you explore your own consciousness. And here's just some couple of concluding slides around that concept. So in the area of consciousness, if back to the experiences that we did just a few minutes ago, just imagine, just hear these thoughts and imagine these things. If you are able, and even if this only happens for a few seconds at a time, sort of back to what Yuval Harari was saying, like, this flood of thoughts that overwhelmed him as a beginning meditator. But if you get to a place where you can, even for seconds at a time, put all thinking away, and if you don't have any pain and you're able to sit comfortably long enough to sort of lose the sense of where your body begins and ends, like you have hands, but you don't necessarily feel them, or legs. If you can start to lose the sensation of having a body, if you can get to a place where there's no thought, and there's no emotion and there's no judgment of yourself or anyone else, we would really, in the English language at least, we would describe that as a place of nothingness, really. So you've moved to a place where there's nothing, there's no sensations, thoughts, or emotions going on. So that by definition, that is nothingness. But even for those seconds at a time, that nothingness, that emptiness is everything that you are. And so I'm sure it's the Buddhists that said, and possibly other faiths as well, that nothing equals everything. And here's where I've had a glimpse of understanding, at least, that absent everything, sensation, emotion, and feeling, it's not that you're nothing. It's that you've expanded to be everything. And in this state, you are simply consciousness. It's not happiness. It's not bliss. It's not contentment. It's not any of those things we would normally align with wanting and needing to feel like we're living the good life. You are essentially simply consciousness, and it's calm, and it's everything. Well, so what, you might say, validly. But the brain, as a complex machine, like many complex machines, really needs to be turned off for a while for maintenance or upgrade, right? You just can't do it while it's still running. So as I talked about a minute ago, if you are moving in and out even for a few seconds of complete shutdown in the emotional sensorial sense of simple consciousness, your psyche, and it would appear your brain, can repair and upgrade itself. And on a personal level, I mean, people feel this at their personal reports the world over of meditation contributing to an increase in focus and emotional resilience and patience and overall well-being, as well as helping to navigate and deal with anxiety and depression and the more powerful emotional states. So then, just almost finally, additionally, when you're in that place of nothingness, like I said, even for a few seconds at a time, when you're in that space, you have no age or sex or gender, and you're in a place of no judgment or doubt or concern or ecstasy even, and you're without religion or politics. And if you're with someone else at that point, or even if you're not, even if you can imagine someone around the planet being in that same state, then we are at that state united by simply being. And it's this, you may have heard that meditation can be a source of great empathy. And it's this state of being, recognizing that we are all at base pure consciousness, that you can be empathic, because in this place, pure consciousness is the source spring for empathy, not just for yourself, which is the first and most powerful role that empathy can play, but for others as well. And that's it. I just wanted to leave room for any discussion or just even thoughts or questions, or Dipti and Jennifer, if there's a way that these events or presentations usually wind up, then go for it.
Well, I guess I have a question. When do you usually meditate? Is it like the same time every day? Because you said you do it every day, and I'm just wondering like how you find the time for that.
Yeah, no, good question. And I like it so much that I make room for it. So even when I was working and had to leave the house at a certain time, I would like push other things out of the way to do it every morning. So a little less than I might have liked, but I typically in the morning, and I think a lot of meditators do, which seems odd to bounce out of bed and then go meditate, but because meditation, the way a lot of people use it is to sort of set their day and start their day, though it's completely valid, like you said, Jennifer, too, to end your day with it as well. I mean, the important thing is doing it, and secondly, doing it in the way that works for you. So I'm a morning meditator.
I just was going to say, the wonderful thing about practicing mindfulness is that you can do it without actually sitting down and doing it as a meditation. And I know Lawrence said that, but when I was doing my meditations quite regularly, when I would take the train into work, I could be sitting on the train and do a full body scan to relax myself. Or I could do breathing when someone would be doing something on the train that I was feeling uncomfortable with. because I do have an anxiety disorder, and I realize this is on video and I just said that to the world, I could actually take some time to calm my body by doing the breathing that I had practiced from the meditation while sitting there and getting centered in my body on the train. So it was incredibly helpful. And I think that that's something to remember with mindfulness. It can be as you walk down the street, it can be anywhere where you can take that moment.
Yeah. That's exactly right and exactly valid. And Shelley, thank you for that bravery and courage in describing that, even in a recorded session, as you said. But and we are seeing increasing support, but it is time for us as cultures to recognize that these challenges can only be helped by being talked about more and being normalized, because these are normal reactions. Like, our body has a really, really good stress response system, and it's no one's fault if the world around us that is not designed to be supporting supporting us emotionally, if there's a disconnect there, then that's really normal. And it's starting to help things too. The more we talk about it, the more it helps things like work-life balance and all those progressive things that come into play to support people.
I just linked some social media links for SFSS in the chat, so people can feel free to check those out. I linked the general SFSS one for the general updates, and also the events one for specific events like these.
Cool.
Just a quick question before we wrap up. For like beginners, how once we start meditating, it's like, oh, just focus on your breathing and stuff, and then like the thoughts like flood in. How do you, what are you supposed to be focusing on to not be thinking those thoughts? Because some people say, oh, like just think them out and then like just let it go. But then some people are like, oh, just imagine like a color when you breathe in and color when you breathe out. So like what's the way to go with that?
That's the perfect question in so many ways. And something that's kind of related, to bear with me for a second, but when I heard someone explain how actually like at a gym, if you go to the gym and you grab a dumbbell, you can't expect to get stronger by just walking around with it. And so the strength comes from working the dumbbell. And when someone pointed out that in meditation, the benefit comes from coming back to your breath, or coming back, leaving the thought that came into your mind, which will, and some days it will do nothing but so two-part answers. One, be confident and know and that just being cognizant that coming back to the breath however you can, and maybe it's with some of the techniques you mentioned, or that really land for you, like if you like to color them, or if you like to hear them as music or put music to them, or and even if you have sessions, maybe even months in a row, where it's really, where you don't feel like you're getting as much attention on just breathing, just know that you're getting benefit from coming back, from consistently returning to your breath, even in short bursts, but that thoughts will come, and that you're building muscle, mindfulness muscle, meditation muscle, when you keep returning, when you keep lifting the dumbbell.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Cool.
That is so well explained. Thank you so much, Lawrence.
Oh no, you're welcome. It's really trying to avoid a cliche word, something like honor or something, which there's a better word, but it's just really like so many things. The more people can and do and share the strategies that offer some support or help to just understanding and navigating the world better, because it's a pretty difficult place at times.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Lawrence, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was falling asleep, does it mean I was relaxed? I was falling
Yes,
asleep.
it means two things. You were relaxed, and maybe like me, I'm the same. I probably we both probably need to get a bit more sleep at nighttime.
Means it's time for a coffee, Nancy.
Well, I don't
That's where I'm
drink
going
coffee.
right now.
I don't drink coffee. Haven't drank coffee for years now.
Yeah, you should see her on coffee. Well, bye, Jennifer. She's gone.
Thanks, Lawrence.
No, you're welcome. But honestly, yeah, and it's hard. You know, there's a lot of support now for sleep as an issue. You can buy some really, really sophisticated, even everything from, I think even Fitbit starts with, if you wear it overnight, it gives you sleep data. But, you know, if you are falling asleep during the day when you relax, and I'm honored and pleased that you were relaxed, but probably none of us should be able to fall asleep quickly in the middle of the day.
No, actually, Lawrence, you're talking about the breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of, you slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I had learned before, though.
Mm-hmm.
To slow it down and sort of, and then breathe out for a length of time. That actually, within a very short period of time, it helps people sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely breathing would tip you into sleep more quickly than you might have on an average afternoon, for sure. But yeah, no, breathing, you can use it at nighttime. Like if you're ever having trouble at night, now you know what to do. Just call me up and I'll talk to you. Well, that was that was really fun. And any other thoughts or experiences, or Dipti usually keep these to a tight 1 hour?
No, I mean, if there are questions, we can. If not, then maybe.
I don't want to go back to work. I mean, oh, Lawrence. Oh, wait.
Hey, I'm on the way out. I don't care. I didn't even